Welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I'm Danielle D, or Coach Danni D, and I help women to create luxury brands by creating processes and tightening their branding. This is where we talk about how to build your business in a way that allows you to work with ease and enjoy your life. My happy space is spending as much time as humanly possible in my pajamas. And I want to help others to find their happy space while still running profitable businesses. So get comfortable and let's dig in. Hello, and welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I am your host, Coach Danni D, and I'm here helping creative women professionals to find their work life balance, to find that happy space where you're living your success story, where that becomes a reality for you, and that you are ready to just leave that grind culture alone. Leave that alone. Run your business successfully, but also run your life successfully. So, I wanted to talk to you today. Today's topic kind of, came to me because I am working on a presentation for that I'm supposed to give for an organization I'm a part of. And as I was working on the presentation, when I got to the end, there were just certain things that I wanted to share, like certain tips that I wanted to share that you always get that question, what would you tell your younger self? Or what piece of advice would you give somebody starting out? And I mean, honestly, this is a piece of advice I would give to anybody, like regardless of where they are in the process. And that is everybody is figuring it out. I talk to a lot of people and I've always been, even before coaching, one of those people that people tend to confide in or people tend to seek advice from. And in talking to a lot of people and really listening to a lot of people, I realized that everybody is just figuring it out. The people that you look up to, the people you admire, they just figuring it out. The people who are just starting out, they're just figuring it out. No one has lived today yet. This is your first time living today. This is your first time experiencing whatever is going to come your way today. No one has lived it before. So, no matter how prepared you may be, no matter how educated you may be, no matter how, um, quote unquote, ready you may feel, you still never experienced today before. So, you don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes or what's going to happen in the next hour, what's going to happen in, beyond that, the next week, year. You have no clue. You don't know until you have faced it. And so that is, kind of the great equalizer. I mean, of course, different people are on different paths, different trajectories, but ultimately, one, you're only responsible for your path. You're not responsible for competing or keeping up with anyone else. But two, we get this feeling, I think that's where the whole imposter syndrome comes from, is that we see other people's outsides. So we see what it looks like from the outside. We see, that this person looks polished, this person looks together, this person looks like they got it all going on. This person, looks a certain way from the outside. We don't see people's internal thoughts. We don't see people's insecurities. We don't see people's doubts. We don't see people's concerns. We don't see that. I mean, there's some people that are more wear their emotion on their sleeves than the next, but we all want to present calm no matter what chaos is going on in our head. That's what we don't just blurt that out. That's internal thoughts. And, just going back to imposter syndrome, we feel as though, you know, if people knew what was going on up here, then they would think that we were a phony, a fake, because we're not feeling confident and we're not feeling sure and we're not certain. But here's the thing, nobody is. Now, the more prepared you are, the more, you do those things to put you in a good position, the better you feel about that. That lessens, but you're still going to be facing the unknown every day. And so all we can do is make the best decision with what's in front of us with the information and experience that we've had. So when something random pops up today, you're just going to make a decision and you're going to move forward based on what you know and what you've experienced and what resources are available to you. And you keep doing that and you keep getting better, you keep doing better as you go. So I want to say that because when I realized that in life, it took a huge weight from me because I would walk into spaces and I would see these ladies that were, you know, uh, polished and put together, and they just seemed like they were just so, strong and, had it all together. And then I had conversations with some of those ladies and we built relationships and we got close. And when I started really listening to them, because a lot of times when you are growing, evolving, when you're at the top of your game, there, you don't, it's lonely at the top. You don't always have people to talk to. And when I started listening to them and talking to them, one thing I realized was they looked at me as a peer and I looked at them as a mentor because I just felt like they were like years ahead of me. But the second thing that I realized was as I'm listening to them share their experiences or their concerns, what was going on in their lives, I'm like, this sounds like the soundtrack inside of my head. Like, it's the same stuff, it's the same thoughts. Should I do this or should I do that? It's the same. So I want you to give yourself grace. Um I want you to give yourself grace and I want you to really look at I am navigating and I'm doing the best that I can. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't look to excel, expand yourself, and all of those other things. That's a part of growth as well. But we're growing from a place of love. We're not growing from a place of self, I don't know how I want to finish that. We're not growing from a place of negative talk. We're not growing from a place of, you know, being hard on ourselves for not knowing what somebody else may have took 20, 30, 40 years to know. We're not going to be hard on ourselves for those things. We're just going to start where we are right now and say, you know what? I just realized I need to know this. I need to do this. I need to make these changes to better myself, to better my business. And we're going to do it from a place of love. We're going to come from the standpoint of, I am growing. I'm growing. I'm evolving. I'm changing. That's where we're coming from. We're not going to beat ourselves up because one, that's not productive. And two, what are you mad at yourself for? For not knowing? For not knowing? Like that doesn't make sense. Like, so we're not doing it. I mean, just that simple. We're not doing it. We're going to lovingly learn, and move forward. We're going to progress, we're going to continue to grow, and we're going to know that, again, we have the ability to make great decisions. And those decisions are based on what's in front of us at that moment. They talk about Monday morning quarterbacking, you know, I'm a sports fan. I know everybody may not be, but I feel like that phrase transcends sports. But basically, when somebody comes and looks at a situation after the fact, and they have so much to say about what you should have did and how you should have done it and all of that, they weren't sitting there at that moment, at that time, with the information that you had. So don't let anybody pick you apart in that way. If you look back at the situation and say, you know what, I could have handled that a little bit differently, then take that as a teachable moment, learn from it. And now you know if this thing happens again, this is how I'm going to handle it. But don't beat yourself up for how you handled it in the moment with what you had in that moment. So everybody is figuring it out. That's all. Everybody. So I just wanted to share that. I just wanted because it brings me comfort. And I hope that it brings you comfort. I hope that it helps you to feel more comfortable as you continue down your growth journey, to feel more comfortable in, just doing your very best, doing the best that you can, knowing that mistakes will be made, and knowing that those mistakes, they're not defining you. Those mistakes meant that you tried. Those mistakes meant that you are continuing to figure it out. And so those mistakes teach lessons as well. They're important. They're just as important as when you get it right. So it's all information to get you ready for the next random thing that you don't know that's coming up, that's going to happen. It's getting you prepared for that next thing and the next decision that you have to make. So give yourself grace. I always want you to remember to give yourself grace. Treat yourself with love. Treat yourself with love. Um, and that's really all I got for y'all this morning. We are, entering, we just finished Black History Month. We're entering Women's Women's Month, and I just want you to really, think about, all of those that have come before you, both, from a Black history perspective, from a woman's perspective, and all of the powerful people that have come before you that have paved the way, and they was figuring it out too. They were figuring it out too. And you don't, that's the thing about, history and life. It's not like a sitcom, you don't get the blooper reel. So you don't know those times that it didn't work out or those times that it did work out, but they were scared as hell, going into it and all the way through it. You don't get to see that part. But know that it exists. Know that anything that you experience, other people are experiencing too, because we're all human. All right, y'all. Have a great week. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you for listening to the Prophets in Pajamas podcast. I hope you got some great tips to start working with ease. Want to stay connected? Follow me at Your Workflow on Instagram. For more information about building your luxury brand, register for my upcoming luxury brand workshop at CoachDanniD.com.